Welcome to the Deep Dive by the Quiet Footnote. Today, we're diving into, well, a truly timeless work, The Art of Happiness. It's that amazing collaboration between the Dalai Lama and the American psychiatrist, Dr. Howard Cutler.
Yeah, it's fascinating. You picture this scene, right? Maybe a quiet courtyard somewhere. And you have these two very different minds meeting.
Exactly.
On one hand, the Dalai Lama bringing, centuries of wisdom, but also that real warmth, that twinkle in his eye. And then Dr. Cutler, grounded in Western psychiatry, curious, maybe a bit skeptical, trying to kind of translate this ancient perspective for our modern, often pretty anxious world.
And their whole project, it wasn't about escaping life's difficulties, was it? Or telling everyone to become a monk?
Not at all.
It was really about this huge question. How can any of us, living in this messy, unpredictable world, how can we actually find happiness?
That fundamental question.
So our mission here today is really to pull out the key insights from their conversations, kind of give you a shortcut to its core message, why it still feels so relevant, and maybe some practical ideas you can, actually use.
Right. We'll unpack the main ideas, bust some common myths about happiness, look at why it feels maybe even more urgent now, and boil it down to, say, 5 key takeaways for your own path. Hopefully give you a fresh angle on, building real well-being.
Okay, so let's get into that core message. Right off the bat, the book makes this claim that's, pretty radical for a lot of us in the West. It says happiness isn't luck, it's not fate. It's something you cultivate, like building a muscle. What strikes you about that starting point, happiness as a skill?
Well, it immediately shifts the power, doesn't it? It says we have an active role. It's not just waiting for things to go right. The book argues it's about specific mental habits, changing your perspective. And this is crucial compassion.
Right.
It takes away that feeling that happiness is just something that happens to you. Suddenly, you're in the driver's seat, at least internally.
And you mentioned compassion. That's central. The Dalai Lama calls it a universal medicine. That's such a strong phrase. What does he mean by medicine? It's not just feeling nice, right?
No, definitely not fluffy. He sees it as a practical, almost like clinical tool, an antidote to things like loneliness, resentment, feeling like life lacks meaning, those really corrosive states.
An antidote? How so?
Because it shifts your focus outward. It breaks that intense self-focus that often fuels anxiety and isolation. When you genuinely connect with someone else's struggle, even in a small way, it pulls you out of your own head. It's like medicine because it actively benefits you mentally, emotionally. It rewires us for connection.
That's a really powerful way to put it. And that connects to another huge insight, I think, the difference between pain and suffering.
Oh, yeah. That's a game changer.
Life will bring loss, failure, hardship. That pain is unavoidable. But the book says the story you attach to it, your interpretation, that determines how much you suffer. Can you unpack that a bit?
Think of pain as the initial event, the thing that happens. Suffering is, it's the aftermath. The rumination, the why me, the anger that spins around it.
A mental loop.
Exactly. You can't always stop the initial pain, but you can influence your response. You can reframe it. See challenges not just as bad things, but as chances to grow, build resilience, learn empathy. Like the Dalai Lama says, a suffering from the mind is often worse than physical suffering. And that's where this idea of mental conditioning comes in.
Right. We spend so much time training our bodies, don't we? Going to the gym, focusing on physical goals. But the mind, we often just let it run wild, hoping for the best.
Left to its own devices.
And The Art of Happiness says, no, genuine happiness requires intentional mental work, actively shaping your inner world. So how do they suggest we actually do that? What does mental conditioning look like?
It looks like practice, conscious practice. Like training for anything else, it means watching your thoughts without immediately buying into them, understanding where destructive emotions come from, and then deliberately cultivating the opposite.
The antidotes.
Exactly. Patience for anger, gratitude or appreciation when envy pops up. It's not about squashing feelings down, it's about transforming their energy. It's active engagement with your own mind.
Which brings us to why they even started this dialogue. They saw so many people with comfort, success, freedom, who were still unhappy. And they talk about these 3 gaps the book tries to bridge. What were those?
Yeah, those gaps really frame the problem they tackled. First, the practical gap. The difference between Western material success and, say, Eastern ideas of contentment.
Okay.
The book bridges it by showing that contentment isn't passive. It's a trainable skill. You can pursue success and cultivate inner peace. It's about integration.
Makes sense. And the second gap?
That's the philosophical gap. defining happiness beyond just feeling good or having status. We often chase fleeting pleasures or external wins.
Right.
The book pushes for a deeper definition, a more stable well-being rooted in compassion and mental balance, not just external stuff. It really asks us to rethink what happiness is.
Which leads right into the third one.
The skill gap. Just knowing something isn't the same as doing it, right? We might know compassion is good, but practicing it consistently, that's the challenge.
The knowing-doing gap.
Precisely. The book tries to provide that practical framework to make happiness trainable, not just a nice idea. The big question they chased was, essentially, can we learn to be happy on purpose no matter what? And their answer is a clear yes, but it takes effort.
And this really starts to dismantle some deep-seated myths we have about happiness. The book does it gently, but it's powerful. Let's dig into a few. Myth number 1, happiness happens when life goes your way. We hear versions of that constantly, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. It's the default cultural script almost. Get the job, the partner, the money, then you'll be happy. But the book flips that entirely. It says happiness is primarily an internal state, shaped by your perspective, your mental habits, not just luck or circumstances lining up. As the Dalai Lama puts it, your state of mind matters more than external events. It's kind of the anti-social media feed message, isn't it? Perfect life online, miserable inside. Or real hardship, but finding joy. It happens.
Such a vital counterpoint. Okay, myth 2. Compassion is for saints, maybe monks, people who sacrifice themselves. It feels noble, but maybe not practical for everyday life.
Right, like it's a burden. But the book argues the opposite. It says compassion is an investment in your own well-being. It enriches you mentally, emotionally. It actually reduces your own feelings of isolation and stress.
So it benefits the giver too.
Massively. It breaks down those walls we put up. It's practical self-care, really, not some lofty sacrifice.
Okay, that leads to how we view difficulty. Myth 3, avoid suffering at all costs. That seems like a basic survival instinct, right? Avoid pain.
It is instinctive, yeah. But the book offers that crucial nuance again. Pain is inevitable, sure. But how you interpret that pain, that's what dictates the suffering. Adversity can actually be a teacher.
A catalyst.
Exactly. For resilience, perspective, empathy. Think about tough times you've gotten through. Often there's growth there, wisdom you wouldn't trade, the mental spin, the rumination. That could be far worse than the initial event.
I think a lot of us struggle with myth 4. Strong emotions need to be expressed to be healthy. Just vent, let it all out. Good advice.
Not always, according to the book, especially with destructive emotions like anger or intense jealousy. Just venting can sometimes dig those grooves deeper, reinforce the negative patterns.
So what's the alternative?
Discipline, reframing, actively choosing those antidotes we talked about, patience instead of lashing out, gratitude instead of envy. It's about transforming the energy, not just spewing it, which leads to more lasting calm.
Then there's the link between ethics and happiness. Myth 5. Ethics are about morality, doing the right thing, not really about my happiness.
Yeah, we separate them, but the book connects them directly. Acting in line with your values, having integrity, that's not just good morals. It's psychological maintenance.
This is so...
It reduces guilt. It reduces that uncomfortable feeling when your actions don't match your beliefs, cognitive dissonance. It minimizes inner conflict. All of that directly boosts your sense of peace and happiness. Keeps your inner house tidy, you know.
Okay. And for everyone chasing big goals, myth 6, big achievements bring the deepest happiness. The next promotion, the big win.
That's the dream we're sold. But the book gently points out that while those things can burn a temporary high, maybe the most sustainable joy comes from ordinary moments.
Like what?
Sharing a cup of tea, laughing with a friend, noticing the sky, simple things. These everyday experiences can be deeply fulfilling, often more so and certainly more reliably than those rare peak moments. It helps redefine success.
And finally, maybe the most fundamental one, myth 7. You're either born happy or you're not. Like it's just your disposition fixed.
And the book flatly rejects that. It insists happiness is a skill. It can be learned. It can be trained through mental practice, just like physical exercise builds muscle. It's not about changing who you fundamentally are, but building habits and perspectives that foster more joy. It gives you agency. Your internal state isn't just fate.
Which brings us to now. Why does this book, written years ago, feel so urgent today? Maybe even more than when it came out. We live in this age of likes measuring success, constant comparison, frying our nerves, compassion, sometimes seen as, I don't know, soft.
It's incredibly resonant, isn't it?
Yay.
It feels like an antidote precisely because of those modern pressures. The call for mental discipline, for genuine compassion.
Yeah.
It directly addresses the challenges of the digital age.
So.
In this hyper-connected world, we can feel paradoxically isolated. The book reminds us that true joy isn't a luxury item you get after achieving everything else. It's basic maintenance for being human.
It feels like field notes for a noisy world, like
Mm.
take the attention economy. Social media is literally designed to grab our focus, make us compare. How does the book help with that?
It offers mental hygiene, essentially. It teaches you to observe the urges and anxieties triggered by, say, your feed, rather than just being swept away. To recognize the source of the feeling, maybe the algorithm, and not let it dictate your inner state. It's about reclaiming some internal space.
What about burnout? That relentless hustle culture, always needing to be productive.
The book pushes back against that workism, where our whole value seems tied to output. It subtly reframes rest and inner peace, not as laziness, but as essential acts, protecting your joy from being totally consumed by productivity goals. It fosters a different kind of value system.
And the loneliness paradox. We're constantly connected digitally, yet feeling more alone.
Yeah, the book underscores the gap between mere digital presence and real empathetic connection. Its focus on compassion is the direct medicine for loneliness. Truly caring, even briefly, connects you in a way scrolling often doesn't. It nudges us toward seeking depth over just breadth in our interactions.
Then there are the huge anxieties, climate change, global uncertainty, things that feel overwhelming.
This is where that pain versus suffering idea scales up. The book teaches us how to hold awareness of massive problems and cultivate hope without falling into despair or paralysis. Acknowledge the difficulty, yes, but focus energy on your inner response and constructive action, rather than being crushed by the scale of it.
And finally, what you called the integrity gap earlier, the temptation to cut corners for speed or status.
The book is like a steady reminder. Compromising your values isn't just a moral slip, it chips away at your own peace of mind. Each compromise builds inner conflict. Staying true to your values is fundamental psychological self-care. It keeps you whole.
It really does feel like it shifted from a wise conversation back then to almost an emergency manual for staying human now.
I think that's fair. It's less a general suggestion, more like a practical guide for navigating the sheer intensity of modern life.
Okay, so if we had to boil the art of happiness down to its absolute essence, the most portable gems, what are the 5 key takeaways?
All right, 5 core principles. First, happiness is a skill you cultivate, not a prize you win. It's built daily through mental habits, perspective, compassion, gratitude. Not luck, not stuff.
Got it. Second,
Compassion is the most reliable route to joy. Caring for others isn't just altruism. It's smart self-care. It boosts your own well-being, reduces isolation.
third, the big one perhaps. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. You can't dodge all hardship, but you can manage the mental story you wrap around it. That's where your power lies.
Fourth, mastering your mind matters more than mastering your world. Negative emotions like anger, envy, fear will sabotage happiness, even in paradise. Emotional discipline isn't optional for peace.
And fifth,
Live in alignment with your values. Integrity isn't just morality, it's psychological health. It prevents the inner erosion caused by guilt and conflict, keeps your internal house solid.
beneath all this, there's maybe a quieter message, almost unheard. Something like, you're actually wired for happiness, but the world trains you out of it. Your job is to unlearn the noise. What's your take on that?
I think that's profound. It flips the script. Happiness isn't something extra you have to add. It's what's naturally there when you stop doing the things that block it. The clinging, the resentment, the constant outsourcing of your peace to circumstances.
So the mind is the key.
It can be your worst enemy or your best friend. And the book insists that's a choice, not just your fate. Notice the Dalai Lama rarely says, go find happiness. He keeps showing how if you stop doing the things that steal it, happiness just returns, like it was waiting.
And through it all, there's his laughter, right? It runs through the book. It shows that deep wisdom doesn't have to be heavy.
Exactly. It proves wisdom and lightness can coexist beautifully. It's not grim enlightenment. It's warm, human, even a bit mischievous. Joy is part of the journey itself.
So if we had to sum up this whole deep dive in one sentence.
Okay, how about this? A rich dialogue between ancient wisdom and modern curiosity, the art of happiness, teaches that true joy isn't found in perfect circumstances, but is cultivated through compassion, perspective, and the daily intentional training of your own mind.
And this really isn't a book you just read and finish, is it? It's more like a practice manual.
Absolutely. It's a working philosophy. The invitation is to see which insights really land for you and think about how you might gently weave them into your daily life. Not as big, abstract ideas, but as practical tools.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on, something the book implies. The world isn't going to slow down so you can be happy.
You have to learn how to slow down inside it.